Professor Singh, kindly unmute yourself.
जी नमस्कार।
नमस्कार, प्रणाम सर।
नमस्कार। अभी हमारे चीफ गेस्ट ज्वाइन करने वाले हैं। जस्ट बी द मोमेंट ही ज्वाइन वी विल स्टार्ट द प्रोग्राम। नमस्कार केपी साहब। नमस्कार मैडम, और सभी को नमस्कार जितने लोग जुड़े हैं। हाँ मुझे बताएं फटाफट, देन वी विल स्टार्ट। ठीक है। नमस्कार, सभी मेहमान हमारे जुड़ चुके हैं। नाउ फॉर्मली वी स्टार्ट द प्रोग्राम। A very warm welcome to all the very distinguished guests today. Before we start, let me greet the World Intellectual Property Rights Day, a day which protect the rights of the authors, scientists, technocrats. And on this occasion, the Delhi Library Association, which came into existence before independence in 1939, celebrating this day in a lecture, Professor S. Das Gupta Memorial Lecture. Professor S. Das Gupta was a brilliant Bengali mind, a graduate in English from St. Stephen College, the founder of Department of Library Information Science, Delhi University, the first department in the Commonwealth country in the library science education. And he was also the founder of School of Library Science, Delhi Library Association 1958. So in his found memory, we every year celebrate the Professor S. Das Memorial Lecture. Since last 2 years, due to the COVID, we could not celebrate, but this time normalcy is there. So we had a very distinguished panel today. So our best wishes for all intellectual class, World Intellectual Property Day. Just in brief, I had to perform two tasks. One is the brief about the DLA and today's program. Today's program, I already mentioned that this is the 22nd Professor S. Das Gupta Memorial Lecture. And lecture today, we had a very galaxy, the top class academic administrators of the different universities, honorable vice chancellors. Delhi Library Associations, as I told you, that came into existence in 1939. And Philip John Sargent, the then education advisor, was the founder, president of this institution. Our third vice chancellor of Delhi University, Rai Bahadur Ram Kishorji, was the vice president. And this was a very prominent and vibrant association of the country. It involved teaching, research, consultancy, and guidance. As far as the research concerned, the DLA published since 1958 Library Herald, a scholarly peer-reviewed journals, which is indexed in the Scopus and all major databases of library information science and quarterly journal. We had the programs like Certificate Course of Library Information Science since 1958, and many alumni of the Certificate Course of Delhi Library Association occupy a very top position in the profession. We had also the Certificate Course of Library Information Science and academic collaborations with different colleges, and one of the collaboration with IGNU, the People's University. With this brief introductions, let me give my welcome address. As I told you, today we had a very distinguished panel. We had today as a chief guest of the program, Professor Ramesh Bharadwaj, an orator, a scholar, academician, academic administrator, immediate past head of the department, Sanskrit department, and immediate past director of Gandhi Bhavan, Delhi University, and currently he is the vice chancellor of Maharishi Valmiki Sanskrit University, Kaithal, Haryana. We welcome you, sir, on behalf of the entire family of Delhi Parivar. We welcome you as chief guest. We had a very distinguished scholar, orator, legal expert. I had some similarity. We share the name as a KP. We had Professor KP Joshi Puraji, who has a rare distinction, a 3-time consecutive vice chancellor, one of the very prominent university in the Gujarat state, Saurashtra University, Rajkot. He has a very rare distinction in the advisory board of the Prime Minister, and he is currently the governing member of governing body in Filmnet and the Nehru Memorial Museum Library. So we welcome you, Professor KP Joshi Puraji from Gujarat, Rajkot, and he is today as a chairman of the presiding functions. So we welcome you on behalf of the entire fraternity of Delhi Library Association and community of library science. We had a very distinguished legal expert, administrator, orator, institutional builder, a renowned teacher. My very close friends, immediate professor in charge of the Campus Law Center, Delhi University, which is the biggest school of legal study in the country. The currently Vice Chancellor of NLU Assam, Professor V.K. Ahujaji. He is the authority of the legal experts, especially on intellectual property rights. So he will speak on the intellectual property rights. So Professor V.K. Ahujaji, we welcome you on behalf of the entire fraternity of Delhi Library Association. We had a very distinguished English grammarian, English professor, a classical dancer by passion, the Honorable Vice Chancellor, the first state university, that is Baba Saheb Ambedkar Open University of Gujarat State. She is very, I think, young Vice Chancellor of the Gujarat State. Second time she is completing his tenure, English professor, Professor Ami Upadhyayji. So she is a very, very distinguished guest and a sign and symbol of women empowerment. So on all behalf of the DLA Parivar, DLA fraternity, we welcome all guests. We also welcome the distinguished professors, heads, emeritus professors, heads, librarian research scholars, many directors connected this program throughout the different parts of the countries to listen the intellectual discourse of the Honorable Vice Chancellors. This is the first time in the platforms of the Delhi Library Association that we had the 4 Vice Chancellors. And today is a very auspicious day, as I told, the World Intellectual Property Right Day. So I will not take much time. So with these words, I once again welcome all the delegates connected, more than 250 today. We had a registration almost 700, but the number is increasing to listen the voice of the Honorable Vice Chancellors. So with this opening remarks, now I request the first, the symbol of women empowerment, Professor Ami Upadhyayji, because I believe in the time punctuality. Honorable Vice Chancellors had a very short times, but they have a short guns of the thought content like our BrahMos missile. So now I directly invite Professor Ami Upadhyayji for their address. Over to you, Professor Ami Upadhyay.
Thank you very much, Professor K.P. Singh, and namaskar to all. First of all, I'm very, very much thankful to Professor K.P. Singh and Delhi Library Association for making me part of this event, giving me an opportunity to address the academicians, librarians here. Honorable Ramesh Bharadwaj, Honorable Professor Kamlesh Joshipura, Honorable Professor V.K. Ahuja. Honestly speaking, here I am an odd woman out. I won't say I am an odd man out, odd woman out, and not by gender, but by the subject also, because all of you are from the law background. But somewhere the women have been very lawful in their lives, so all the possible, I might have been invited for that. And especially when we talk about intellectual property rights on the day of World Intellectual Property Right, Sir said that Professor S. Das Gupta Memorial Lecture, and S. Das Gupta had somewhere, if I'm not mistaken, background of English literature, that's what I came to know. And that's why when we say intellectual property right, and Sir mentioned, Professor K.P. Singh mentioned about scientists and technocrats, I think we should go a little bit further, that every intellectual with intellectual property has right to protect that intellectual property. I'm very happy because as academicians, having academic background, educated people, we all know quite well there's difference between intelligence and intellectual. Intelligence when focuses more on understanding certain things, maybe simple procedure and everything. Intellectual focuses more on thinking and understanding. Intelligence talks about learning, the learning process, and somewhere understanding. Here, very complicated things are when easily being understood, it is intellectual property. When we talk about our journey as a nation from underdeveloped country, developing country, being destined to reach to developed country. So underdeveloped, developing, and developed. Intellectual property will play a very, very vital role, because that would bring huge amount foreign currency, not only money, but recognition also to the country. So it is very, very important. Our nation has roots when it is repeatedly said and sung, I would say, Vidvana Sarvatra Pujyate. When we say Vidvana Sarvatra Pujye, this with is knowledge. So Vidwan, this knowledge is intellectual property. And when Obama comes forward and says that 21st century is the century of knowledge, in India, we know that our Upanishad says that Vidvana Sarvatra Pujyate. So it has been in the soil of India. Now, first of all, very repeatedly, we have come across the statement that necessity is the mother of invention. But out of our experiences, all of us have witnessed it, passed through those experiences, that it is more of a curiosity and creativity. They are the two mothers. As Lord Krishna had two mothers like Yashoda and Devaki, inventions have two mothers. One is curiosity and second is creativity. When national education policy focuses a lot on indigenous knowledge, indigenous skills, 64 arts, it talks much more about vocational, professional training, skill training, and very much talking about cultural orientation, languages. I think we are revisiting our roots. We are moving, we are getting closer to our intellectual property. It is like a revival of relevance. So somewhere this intellectual property may not be very new concept to us, but many times as Indians, if I'm not mistaken, we are too humble to sing our song, to boast about our intellect or to ask for the recognition of it. But now we know it quite well that at international level, earlier the scenario was different. And now if we go out of India, people have started recognizing our presence at global platform. And intellectual property will play a very vital role. Be it be very small thing, but this is the right time that we come forward and say that this is what we know. And we have come across very, repeatedly about it. An idea can change the society, an idea can change the life. So I think it is all about an idea. And executives know they don't work 24/7 hard work. It is more smart work. And when we talk about smart work, it is intelligence, intellectual property. I do remember as a child when we used to go to schools, I'm not talking about college, about schools also, that whenever there would be banners of Amul advertisements, we would stand and look at it. The way they would brand it, the very simple thing. And there we come to know that the person is paid huge amount for a single line, single idea. Idea matters the most. And this is the time that we should come forward to not only sell our ideas, but to make people realize that India has worth to be Vishwaguru through its strong legacy of ideas. I wish all the participants today a very happy World Intellectual Property Day. Thank you very much for making me a part of it. And I hope I could finish within time limit given to me. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Upadhyay. Your tagline, idea can change the life and the innovation can change the society and the nation. And innovation comes from the intellectual property. So this is the day that we all are celebrating. I know that how you are deeply involved, your teaching, research, artifacts, creation, creating the atmospheric environment in your university campus. So congratulations you also, because your university is going to become the first university in many sense that you are expanding its vertical and horizontal centers throughout the Gujarat states. So best wishes from our DLA Parivar. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Now the time to listen the legal expert, one of the great orators, the pride alumni of Delhi universities, today's keynote speaker, Professor V.K. Ahuja ji. As I have already given brief introductions. So Professor V.K. Ahuja ji is one of the authority in the legal studies or legal education and research. So may I directly invite Professor V.K. Ahuja ji for his address. Over to you, Professor V.K. Ahuja ji.
Thank you, Professor Singh. Honorable Professor Ramesh Bhardwaj, Vice Chancellor, Maharshi Valmiki Sanskrit University, Kaithal. Professor K.P. Joshipura, former VC Saurashtra University, Rajkot. Professor Ami Upadhyay, Vice Chancellor Dr. Balasaheb Ambedkar Open University, Ahmedabad. My friend Professor K.P. Singh, President, Delhi Library Association. Dr. J.N. Singh, General Secretary. Dear participants, ladies and gentlemen, a very warm afternoon from Guwahati. Well, today we have gathered here on the occasion of World IPR Day. I was originally given 19 minutes, but because we started late, so I'll be trying to finish it within 15 minutes so that we could conclude the program well in time. Well, friends, IPR is an outcome of human intellect. Now, we keep on thinking and we get a lot of good ideas, as my predecessor, Professor Upadhyay, had already stated. But remember that there is no IPR as such in ideas, right? IPR comes in the, when the ideas are converted into some material form. For example, when you are thinking, the idea comes of writing a poem, a poetry, a story or a novel. So the IPR exists in that story, novel, drawing, design, or if suppose there is a, some idea which comes to your mind and that culminates into invention. Now, IPR is there in the invention, not in the ideas. Your idea may be worth $millions of dollars. Unless that idea is converted into some material form, you are not going to protect it. And if you share your idea with someone, and that someone with whom you have shared your idea exploits your idea, it is he who is going to get the IPR on that form in which the idea has been, exploited, and you will not get anything. There is one possibility: if you share your idea in confidence, so the law of breach of confidence becomes applicable. So there you can just seek some sort of remedy, but that too under law of breach of confidence, not under IPR laws, any of the IPR laws. Well, friends, under TRIPS agreement of WTO, which started from 1st of January 1995, 8 types of IPR were discussed: copyright, design, patents, plant varieties, trademark, geographical indications, layout designs of integrated circuits, and confidential information, which includes trade secrets. I'm so happy to see that a program on IPR is being organized by a library association. Friends, let me tell you very honestly, most of the academicians, even who are from different departments, they feel that as if they have nothing to do with IPR. IPR is something which is alien to their subject, to their department. And they are completely wrong when they think like that. I give example to my students, when we talk about IPR, when I teach them IPR, I just tell them that you see IPR, you start creating IPR the moment a body, a baby, has taken birth in your family. Let us just let me give you an example. A baby is born. The first thing which you do is that you will click the photographs and circulate that on social media or circulate among your family members. Photographs have got copyright. Now that baby is growing, you admit the baby to a play school. In the play school, the teacher makes that baby to dance, to perform on some Hindi song, Bollywood song, or even otherwise. Now, there he is performing as a performer. So he gets the performance rights under the copyright law. I mean, performance rights are basically special rights which are protectable under the Copyright Act. Then he goes to a formal school. There he has been given some project. He makes some drawings. All that is copyright protected. Then he goes to a bigger school, like maybe a higher secondary school or senior secondary school. There the child is being given the assignment. That assignment is got the copyright. Then the child goes to college or the university and writing the thesis, the dissertation, or collecting data, compiling data, analyzing data. All those things have got the copyright, right? Now, throughout your life, you keep on generating, IPR. You keep on creating something or the other. Even a person who is illiterate is having a mobile phone in his hands, and he keeps on clicking the photographs. He keeps on, making the video clippings or so. So that is also copyright protected subject matter. So when we talk of copyright, the subject matters are literary, dramatic, musical, and artistic work, provided they are original. Second is cinematographic film, which includes videography also. And the third one is sound recording. Now, these are the things which you generate. Each one of us, is, with the help of our mobile phone or even otherwise, we keep on making, drawing or something. All that we keep on doing throughout our life. We keep on writing blog or whatever it is. All that is copyright protected. Well, friends, one work of yours. Now, this is something very important for all of you. One work of yours may change your life. Now, if you take the example of Chetan Bhagat, Chetan Bhagat is famous as an author, not as an engineer or coming from IIM background or so. So he's renowned as an author. And look at the things, he keeps on writing novels, and the movies are being made on the basis of the story which he had written. And this man is earning huge amount out of it. So one work of yours may get you so much of recognition that you may get enormous money and you become a renowned figure. So friends, keep on writing, keep on, creating something or the other. All that is copyright protected. Well, I cannot say, that you go to the laboratory and, start working there in the scientific field, because we do not have the scientific or technological background as such. So every one of us cannot make the industrial design which can be applied to articles. So every one of us cannot be an expert, in the area of plant varieties, for example. And Madam was giving an example of Amul. Look, this is the trademark, and look the economic power of the trademark. If you look at the economic power of Coca-Cola, it runs into billions of dollars. And moreover, if you look at the litigation in the field of IPR, most of the litigations are in the field of trademark only. Because if you start changing the trademark, this is a bottle of Bisleri. I have made a slide, where I came across several bottles with the similar kind of description, with a small variation here and there, where, the E will come after R, or, L will come after E, or so. Small variations are being made, and it is being, sold as a Bisleri bottle. Now, this is how they are causing economic loss to the owner of the Bisleri company, right? So trademark has the huge economic potential. Another thing, friends, since most of you are from library background, and copyright is one area which concerns of all us, and because we do not have much time, I wanted to discuss with you the Delhi University photocopy case, which I think most of you must be aware, and how that legal point was settled. In fact, it has not been settled as such. That case was withdrawn by the publisher, where the course packs were being made at Delhi School of Economics. I remember when I was a student in Delhi University in LLM, that was long back from 91 to 93. And prior to that, I was also a student at JNU. At both the places, at JNU and at Delhi University, we were, our teachers taught us that, we are not going to become a party to Paris Convention, because the IPR protection which has been provided to the owner of the IPR are very high, and a country like India, which is a developing country, is not in a position to give the stronger protection to the IPR holder. So we have to look into the public interest. Well, friends, we became a party to WTO in 1995, and the TRIPS agreement said that if you are becoming party to TRIPS agreement, you have also to be abide by Paris Convention, which was of 1883, the first multilateral convention on industrial property, which is a part of intellectual property. Friends, today when I teach my students, I tell them that the entire jurisprudence has changed. What was taught to me by my teachers, I cannot teach the same to my students, right? Why? Because the present government is, it is promoting intellectual property protection. It is coming out with enormous schemes. It is promoting the MSME, the micro, small, and medium enterprises. And I was so happy to see that this time the data which came, they were quite encouraging, where the domestic filing, patent filing was more than the patent filing made by the foreigners. Now that happened for the very first time. And this is how the entire, thing is changing. There is a paradigm shift in our IPR policy. So earlier, we were not in favor of giving stronger protection to intellectual property rights. Now we are advocating for the same. And of course, we are now, competing with many of the world multinational corporations. So with these words, I'll stop it here because there are other speakers to speak. Thank you very much for giving me an opportunity. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Professor Ahuja ji. Very pinpointly extracted line that society or the nation will not remember your opinion. They will remember your set of examples. So the crux of the talk is that the idea, more important innovations, and innovations lead to the nation buildings. The countries who has the great innovations, great patents, because they are directly engaged with the manufacturing or directly engaged with the economy. So that idea can generate the one idea can the millions idea. But unless until it convert it into a innovations, convert it into a manufacturing unit, I think we can't think about the development. So thank you very much, Professor Ahuja ji. Touch upon the very, very pertinent aspect related to connect with the library or the library science. So thank you very much. Now we are here, we are invite one of the, again, legal expert. He is a man of constitutional experts, insurance experts, exim experts, and moreover, he is a educational administrator and e-governance pioneer. I may invite Professor K.P. Joshi Praji for his presidential address. Over to you, Professor K.P. Joshi Praji.
Hello. Namaskar. Distinguished
lecture theaters जहाँ 150-200 तक स्टूडेंट्स बैठ जाएं, वो अलग हमको एक कल्पना करनी पड़ेगी कि शास्त्री में हमारे पास कितने जनरल सब्जेक्ट्स होंगे, एक जनरल क्लास बनेगी, वो अलग सोचे, वो बड़ा विषय है। वो आप लोग को आज टास्क दे देंगे, 2 दिन का समय।
भारद्वाज साहब अपने आप को म्यूट कर लीजिए। भारद्वाज साहब, रिक्वेस्ट है। हाँ, ओवर टू यू प्रोफेसर केपी जी।
Namaskar, KP Singh Saab. First of all, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to the Delhi Library Association especially my friend Professor KP Singh, Dr. Jain Singh Saab, distinguished chief guest, Honorable Vice Chancellor of Maharshi Valmiki Sanskrit University, Ramesh Bhardwaj Saab, Honorable Director, Vice Chancellor of National Law University, Assam, and renowned jurist, I can say even, Professor V.K. Ahuja sir, dynamic lady leader from the Gujarat, and of course, renowned academician, Vice Chancellor of Baba Saheb Ambedkar Open University, Professor Ami Upadhyay ji. As Ami Ben has rightly observed about the woman power, but I must add that each and every woman power have been supported by the intellectual power, and she is having that kind of intellectual power to administer the university system. Today we are celebrating World Intellectual Property Day. The day itself is being celebrated to raise the awareness. The main focus of our today's program is about the awareness. And we have already entered into the third phase of new economic program. Since Government of India has introduced the intellectual property policy in this regard, we must think about the Rachanatmak Bharat and Abhinav Bharat. I was just reading the policy objectives. The first and the foremost policy objective, it is about the awareness. I think the major challenge, and we'll have to convert the challenge into the opportunity. So the first objective of the Union Government IPR policy is about the awareness. As rightly mentioned by Professor Ahuja, it must be supported by legal and legislative framework. So the second objective is about the legal and legislative framework. Third one, it is about to administer, to manage the IPR ecosystem. And next is commercialization. This is the trend, rather the commercialization is the strength of the Western countries, especially United States, and lack of professional approach, lack of commercialization, and of course not commercialization, but lack of professional approach. That was to be considered as the main weakness on the part of our country. And our major strength is about the human capital. And developmental aspect of the human capital is the main objective of our new IPR policy. I fully subscribe the views expressed by my senior colleague, Professor Ahuja. I was just reading the annual report published recently by the Office of the Controller General of Patents, Designs, Trademarks and Geographical Indication, Government of India, which is situated at Bombay. And I was just listening. Unnat Pandit ji, who is the chairperson of the department, what I could gather out of it in the course of listening his speech, Let me share within a very limited time period that number of patent applications filed from 2015 to 2020 in the major fields, dear friends, of innovations such as chemical, pharma sector, polymer science, computer science, communication, electrical, physics, biomedical, mechanical, and other fields. You can see, dear friends, almost all the major disciplines are coming from the science and technology. It is very much difficult to identify, to find out the application from the classical Indian knowledge. Of course, it has been increased by 11%. That's a very, very good sign. And of course, Government of India, Ministry of Commerce, accelerated the efforts to strengthen the IPR framework in India. And gradually, we are getting a very, very good result. Government is trying its level-based efforts to provide a balanced, in our legal language, it should be, I think, V.K. Ahuja must be agree with me. It is about the orderly growth and balanced and transparent IPR ecosystem as per the global standards. So, in addition to that, just I was addressing in morning in my classroom about the recent development. In addition to that, the performance of the Indian Patent Office as international searching authority, that is ISA, International Searching Authority, and trademark registry under the Madrid Protocol system has substantially been increased. This is a very good sign. So what I would like to submit before the August audience, that by and large, since 2015, I think a number of steps were taken for effective implementation of national IPR policy, objective, nurturing bilateral cooperation. I think that this is a very good idea. Nurturance of the bilateral cooperation at the international level, and where India was facing certain difficulties, that's the ease of access to IP information and making IP intellectual property system more transparent and user friendly. Dear friends, these are the steps that have been initiated by Government of India. And of course, our Honorable Prime Minister is very much keen and enthusiastic to extend all kind of support to nurture the bilateral cooperation at the international level. I think procedural defects was the major lacuna in our system. Rather, it has been considerably improved. And I must say that 11%, rather in comparison with it was, let me share that particular figure, that it was 46,900 in the year of 2015 and 16, and increased by 11% in the year of 2019 and 2020 by 56,267. So we are getting the result under the able leadership of our Honorable Prime Minister. But one major thing that I would like to share with you, it is about the regional imbalance, dear friends. If we see the figures from the annual report of state-wise filing of patent, KP Singh Sahab, even Delhi, if we see the figures from annual report of state-wise filing of patent application by Indian applicant. I think Maharashtra is at the top and Tamil Nadu stood second. Other states, bearing Delhi and Karnataka, I think there is a scope to conduct awareness programs through university system. Unfortunately, we believe that's a belief in the university system, in the higher institutions of higher learning, that the entire IPR is meant for the science and technology. And there is a scope in the area of humanities and social science to nurture, to penetrate the basic idea of IPR. We believe in Indian knowledge system. Nowadays, the Western countries are trying to explain about the knowledge society. But according to our Indian knowledge system, yasya buddhi balam tasya. बुद्धि ही हमारी जो इंटेलेक्चुअल जो हमारा है वही आगे बढ़ सकता है, ऐसा मेरा विनम्रता के साथ मानना है। आज के तत्वावधान में एक और two three things that I would like to highlight. I think before I conclude, there are certain challenges before us. First challenge it is about the ecosystem to be developed in the university system, especially in the central and the state universities. Rather, I am talking about the conventional method of conventional university system. There is a scope to nurture, to develop, to create a kind of awareness and to create the IPR culture in university system. That's number one. Second major challenge. I am a researcher in the area of informal sector, KP Singh. I have completed 3 major research projects in the area of unorganized sector and the informal sector. So, on the base of my my research study, I can say that all the things that we are talking, it is about the formal sector. It is about the science and technology. But there are large-scale opportunities lies in the informal sector. What we can say, it may be an indigenous kind of things, lies in our remotest rural area, urban slums, and other areas. We'll have to identify, dear friends, we'll have to identify such things from the informal sector. And I think there is a scope to create a kind of awareness in the area of informal sector also. And collaborative efforts, I think that's a major challenge before us. If the 2 departments or the 2 university system join the hands, one very famous sentence that I can recall, either collaborate or collapse. I think when today we are celebrating the IPR Day, we will have to collaborate, we'll have to identify, we'll have to nurture the ecosystem of the IPR. Thank you very much. Namaskar. Vande Mataram.
Thank you very much, Professor KP Joshi Praji. Really very thought-provoking and touch upon the various aspects and also very good suggestions. And Chris, actually, two peoples are from the Gujarat, so everybody is impressed with the Gujarat model because the country is ruled by the Gujarat. I had a great respect to the Gujaratis, because Gujarati believe, one time our Prime Minister has said that Gujarati believe that to travel 2 persons in 1 tickets. So they always think about that, how can we generate the innovations. So you said that Aminsky, taking the statement of her Honorable Prime Minister, finding the prosperity in adversity, and a very good suggestion that we have to have the culture of IPR. We have to have a good ecosystem of research and innovation, our university system, especially the government centrally funded university and organized sectors. And I'm sure that when we more focus of the research and more focus of the IPR and more focus of the patents, I'm sure our country will lead in the economy, our country will lead as a knowledge center of the country. So thank you very much. And now the time to listen today's Pandit of Sanskrita, scholar, a very eminent, I think he is a very stalwart always. I'm missing his presence in the Faculty of Arts. I'm missing his presence in the Gandhi Bhavan because I am the immediate procedure of Professor Ramesh Bharadwaj. And yes, the DLA Parivar also greets him his appointment as a Vice Chancellor of a very newly and very prestigious university in the Sanskrita, because the future of the India, the future of the knowledge, the future of innovation is based in the future in the Sanskrita. Because our Vedas, our Sanskrit literature has all scientific literatures, and that has to be translated, that has to be coded into simplified languages. So now directly I invite for the chief guest address, Professor Ramesh Bharadwaj. And before that, may I request all the participants, please, we will share one link for you for the correct your name and mobile number for issuing the certificates. So the link will be shared in the chat box. Please provide these information only to your correct name and your mobile number. And now I invite Professor Ramesh Bharadwaj, the Pandit of Sanskrita. Over to you, Professor Bharadwaj.
Om. I'm very glad to join this great seminar on Intellectual Property Day. Well, when new education policy and Government of India is trying to establish that Indian universities should make innovative researches and some new ideas for the upliftment of the Indian society. In that context, I think Intellectual Property Day celebration is very important, because all researches done by us in current phase has some problem of the plagiarism or some other kind of, always we say that what is the thesis? Copy and paste. Cut and paste. As per our Indian tradition, we always say, na moolam likhate kinchit. When any rishi or great thinker wrote a book, so in the beginning, he makes one resolution that I will not write anything which is a repetition or which has no originality. So in Indian society, when we are thinking about the future of Indian researches, I think the celebration of intellectual property is very important, very crucial for us. I wish to congratulate Professor K.P. Singh, President Delhi Library Association, and Director Gandhi Bhavan of the University of Delhi, that he has organized a very important panel discussion or this symposium to understand and to convey the message of the University of Delhi that if we want to implement national education policy as its soul says, we must make such researches which are original and innovative. And with that, we always submit one thing more, that research, original one, should be for the benefit of Indian society or upliftment of our downtrodden people of this country. Well, after great lectures of Professor Ahuja, Professor Upadhyay, and others, I again feel honored by joining this symposium. Thank you very much. Over to Professor
Thank you very much, Professor Saab. लाइक इन संस्कृता, एक श्लोक में ही बहुत कुछ 4 या 5 पेज भर जाते हैं जब हम लोग उसको कन्वर्ट करते हैं, दूसरी लैंग्वेज में ट्रांसलेट करते हैं। तो आपने उसी ट्रेडिशन को फॉलो करते हुए वेरी ब्रीफ बट वेरी वेरी पर्टिनेंट जो एक मैसेज आपने हमें दिया है, खासकर रिसर्चर्स के लिए दिया है कि वी मस्ट फोकस द क्वालिटी ऑफ रिसर्च। I had an example in Delhi University that Delhi University every year produce almost 700 to 800 theses in the different domain of the subjects. If I really means it will be very surprising that if the entire research or 2 or 3 articles from every research got published in quality of publications, scholarly publications, then the impact factors or the citation index of the Delhi University or other university wherever the researchers are working will automatically increase. And that will be the great impact on the scientific measurement of the research productivity. Thank you very much, sir, for touching a very, very pertinent area, and we have to work on it. And now formally, we are just going to close the program. But before that programs, we have the formally vote of thanks. Then we have the the blood swap, that is Rashtragan. एंड देन उसके बाद में हम लोग वाइंड अप करेंगे। किसी के कोई क्वेश्चंस आंसर्स होंगे, क्योंकि टाइम बहुत शॉर्ट है और बहुत ही प्रेशियस टाइम है हमारे ऑनरेबल वाइस चांसलर साहब का, जितने भी साहिबान जुड़े हुए हैं, तो हम चैट बॉक्स में वो क्वेश्चंस आंसर ले लेंगे। तो नाउ आई रिक्वेस्ट द जनरल सेक्रेटरी ऑफ दिल्ली लाइब्रेरी एसोसिएशन डॉक्टर ज्ञानेंद्र नारायण जी, please propose a formal vote of thanks to all the dignitaries and all the guests today. Over to you, Dr. Gyanendra Narayan ji.
Thank you, sir. आहूजा सर ने पहले बोला कि मैं अपना लेक्चर शॉर्ट कर रहा हूँ समय के अभाव में, हम लोग 3 मिनट लेट हैं, तो मैं कोशिश करूंगा 1 या 2 मिनट में आपको वोट ऑफ थैंक्स कर दूं, क्योंकि एक परंपरा रही है। मैं दिल्ली पुस्तकालय संघ की तरफ से जितने भी विद्वान जो किसी भी परिचय के मोहताज नहीं है, रमेश भारद्वाज सर जो संस्कृत के दिल्ली यूनिवर्सिटी के पिलर रहे हैं, आहूजा सर ने बहुत ही अच्छे ढंग से जो है IPR को बताया, क्योंकि मेरा कॉपीराइट पे था, इसलिए मैं जितने संक्षेप में बताया उसके लिए सर मैं आपका आभार व्यक्त करता हूं और चाहूंगा कि भविष्य में भी इसी तरह आप लीगल मैटर्स पे DLA को लाभान्वित करते रहे। मैडम जो नारी शक्ति की प्रतीक है और बहुत ही अच्छे ढंग से उन्होंने संक्षेप में जो उन्होंने कहा, उनके लिए भी मैं आभार व्यक्त करता हूं। और प्रोफेसर केसी जोशीपुरा सर जिन्होंने अध्यक्षता की, और हमारा कार्यक्रम में जो इतने 300 के लगभग में जो लोग आए हैं, इंडिया के अलग अलग पार्टों से या बाहर के भी हैं, मैं उन सबका धन्यवाद करता हूं। और समय को ज्यादा नहीं लेते हुए मैं यही चाहूंगा कि आप सभी का आशीर्वाद और मार्गदर्शन सदैव दिल्ली लाइब्रेरी एसोसिएशन को मिलते रहे। केपी सर।
धन्यवाद ज्ञानेंद्र नारायण जी। Once again, on the behalf of entire family of Delhi Library Association, आपका प्यार, आपका सहयोग, कोऑपरेशन, आपकी गाइडेंस इसी तरह से दिल्ली परिवार के लिए मिलती रहें, और मिलजुल करके हम लाइब्रेरी साइंस और राष्ट्र के प्रति अपना जो एक दायित्व है उसको निभाते रहें। अब हम सभी राष्ट्रगान के लिए खड़े होंगे, और राष्ट्रगान के बाद हमारा प्रोग्राम विधिवत खत्म माना जाएगा। राष्ट्रगान के लिए हम खड़े। हाँ, आ रहा है।
विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा, तव शुभ नामे जागे, तव शुभ आशीष मांगे, गाहे तव जय गाथा, जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता, जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे।